That's not the movie.
This was your surprise.
Yeah. How do we get the picture here? Like, that's another story. Now it looks better.
I don't know. Something else.
Yes. All right. So, no.
I'm going to choose this.
Small font there.
Just to my film.
Nothing too special. So these are the two movies. Only apparently 30 to 40 minutes to discuss this. Only two movies. I wanted to include a third one, but then I was checking all those clips, so there was too much to show that I would like to show. But why these two movies? Generally, the first concept of this was that in both of the movies they have hired Western famous actors, and that's like the main part. And Flowers of War came out 2011. It's a Chinese production, so just as this on the left side, it's back to 1942. And how many of you have seen Flowers of War? Yeah, so you have been on the class already, apparently have seen parts of the Flowers of War. Well, anybody seen Back to 1942? You have seen it? No, but she has, maybe. Yeah, it's Back to 1942. It's about 1942, the drought and the attack of the Japanese in the Henan province in China, and how this affected kind of both the movies showed like the same thing, that they wanted to gain access to international film markets. Flowers of War, it was by the time the most expensive Chinese production of all time. Accounted for, was it USD 95 million was the budget for the movie, and yeah, that's kind of a lot of money. So like 95 million, so I would have presumed that this Back to 1942 is also, it's a kind of high value budget movie. It was more than 20 million USD on that movie also, but both of the movies succeeded already in China to get back their actual money from what they have been investing. And the international numbers, I don't know, but yeah, Flowers of War was from these two movies. Back to 1942, it came out in 2012, 1 year later after Flowers of War. So it's kind of like similar pattern. The basic platform where it started is the same. It's a Chinese production, but they have hired international movie stars. So in Flowers of War we have Christian Bale, also known as the recent Batman movies, and then in the Back to 1942 it becomes even more clear that they just got these lead actors there to promote it in international markets. It's kind of like, you can maybe emphasize that there is still like a big barrier for Chinese movies to actually get international attention, like on these broad scale epic movies. It's not like, okay, Kung Fu and other like minor kind of genres, they might get like access to different parts, but both of these movies are basically aiming on like this epic narrative about different things that happened. Flowers of War is the Nanking Massacre from 1937, and it tells the story about this an unexpected encounter between these prostitute girls, bordel girls, and Christian schoolgirls, and as well as this Westerner that by not of his own choice end up in this hot pot and mess and actually transforms there. But I want to comment them more when we watch the movies. But generally, yeah, there's also another great distinction that comes from when comparing these two movies. Flowers of War, it got kind of like interesting reviews there from side to side, like low ratings. The Daily Mail and BBC, for example, gave it 4 out of 5 stars, while many other movie sites gave it 2 or 2.5 out of 5 stars. It's kind of like what is there, and many has criticized like using a Westerner as a lead actor. And when you watch back to 1942, it becomes quite clear that it doesn't really blend into the story using Adrian Brody and Rob Timmons as the Western actors. They're just like a loose part. Actually, there's a story behind that also to use, but I think we're gonna first check some clips from the Flowers of War, because the timeline is better to that, and actually the preface of the other movie highlights some of the points, like the continuing of when China started to have their actually more intense fighting with Japan in 1937, and that they say in the early stage of the movie, or the preface of the 1942 movie, that they have already been fighting for more than 5 years in the World War, and now the other nations have just joined the World War and united their forces, and now there's 2 different powers. But in the 42, they refer to that the World War already within China has started earlier, and basically from 1937 what happened there by the occupation of the Japanese forces. Another thing, like, yeah, it's kind of obvious, like they wanted to get into international markets. They tried, like, the idea when you read into this movie, the idea was to make actually an epic movie that would be nominated for the Academy Award in the foreign films category. Flowers of War did better. They didn't get the Oscar nomination, but they got a couple nominations to the Golden Globe. And this back to 1942, it didn't do so well, let's say it that way. It didn't get international accreditation. I never heard about this movie, but just happened to pop out, and then watching so many different movies, these 2 movies depict the same thing. And what is like the beauty about these movies? That Flowers of War has been got a lot of great reviews about using like the colors in the scenes. Like, of course, there's a torn up war scene, but the colors in the movie, it's like gives a great not contradiction, but great opposite, like feeling about what there's happening, and it kind of supports the story in a very great way. Of course, it's not like it doesn't try to be a beautiful movie. The movie is based on a book, and the author of the book, whose name is Yao Geling, said that actually the book is only a fiction book. But she does admit that it has drawn influence from many different scenes. For example, this John Mayers could be referred as a guy that was well known by that time, John something. Let's see what John he was. John Magee, and he kind of was credited for rescuing more than 200,000 Chinese people from Nanking. But what made it more like bigger, the role of John Magee in this era in Nanking was that he actually were able to film and send film clips from China to the Western world to see what is actually happening there. And then, yeah, what happens, like the screenplay or the setup is they are in the church, But there's another person that Miss Galen, the author of the novel, is referring to is Minnie Vautrin, an American missionary that was rescuing also like girls from an what was it called, Indian Girls College, and tried to save as many people as possible. It's actually, there's many references like the cross references between fiction and facts. One thing that at least Yao Gelling, the author of the book The 13 Flowers of Nanjing, which this movie is based on, she said that she didn't want the movie. And because there's so much like also the risk about making the Japanese seem worse than it might be. And in the movie it's quite clear that the Japanese soldiers have been pictured in a extremely brutal way. And yeah, the statistics say that there was most likely around 20,000 women raped in Nanjing. And was it how many 100,000 people, 140,000 Chinese people were most likely slaughtered in the attack of Nanjing. And the movie kind of pictures that in an extremely brutal way. And the difference about the screen setup is the uses of color. So you can try to remember, but you see it quite clearly, like in the Flowers of War, they have used strategically the colors to make it more stronger message that they want to send. And while in this back to 1942, the message is more about the drought and what it caused. China has just entered war with their allies against all these other nations, not only like Japanese, even if they meant to fought the Japanese, but it's actually the political message is a lot stronger in the movie 1942, and it really attacks how the government behaved. It attacks what is this? How the politicians by that time, how they acted. And it's like the setup, should they give grain during this drought period to the army or to the refugees? They estimated that there is, during 1942 drought in Henan County, there fled 30 million refugees, of which actually estimate is that more than 3 million of the refugees died during the next year of 1942. And it was like the Chinese national government was actually trying to hide this issue about the drought because the military was more important. There's a good scene, I'll comment on it when we come to it, picturing this like which weighs more in the cup, like it's the military that should get the grain or the people that are starving. And actually, what is it? Chiang Kai-shek, this founder of this guy who fled later to Taiwan. My history is a little bit bad on that, so no offense. So, about this movie also criticizes his actions because he plays a central role as an officer in that region, commanding the troops, and he was strict about that his troops need grain, and which is more important, and they're the refugee for the nation of the Republic of China, or a starving soldier that can't fight. And it tries to picture that, but there's a lot of kind of bad things. It tries to the movie tries to picture this issue about the famine, drought, people suffering, but how they build up it could maybe have been done better. Because now it's focusing mainly on a couple of families. We've shown a lot of course, dead people, but it's like, there was a good comment about this movie, like when we in Europe get an attack or something, like we're used to be safe, and then somebody attacks us, that gains a lot of attention, but when 100 or 1,000 people in Africa die, it doesn't get the media attention. And this movie a little bit fails also on that. It shows like the massacre or the death of people, but it fails to emotionally connect with actually the viewer. But yeah, Flowers of War in that's a lot better. So generally, in both of these, the actual theme could, in my opinion, say to be survival and sacrifice. In both of these movies, the main thing is the transformation of human beings during a war period, and in the first, the Flowers of War, it's more pictured from a feminine perspective, but also the transformation about who should, if we can help the younger to live on, should they do it, and kind of, and in the other, it's more about the fight against not dying from hunger, and in that sense, there's these scenes about picturing what people kind of do to survive. And one of the things is that they sold them their family members, and even that doesn't necessarily help you to survive the extreme conditions of the winter of 1942. We'll see the kind of things about that. But yeah, let's check, and because it takes a little bit of time to load. That's interesting. I have a good picture, but you can only see that. Yeah. How do we get that this way again? Yeah. He hasn't seen my background picture. So, with the first scene, a couple of minutes from the flowers of war. So if we can get the lights down, it pictures what the following thing will be. The girls are arriving at the church, and it pictures John Muir arriving at the church and his attitude towards his upcoming mission. Let's see if I'll get some sound also here. Probably guess the rest about that. It's a kind of a movie about this changing characters, how they transform from first just John Morris being an alcoholic that just cares for his money, hiding in the wardrobe, or actually trying to save these girls. And more or less, it's more of a stories in that sense, kind of like predictable what they will happen. It doesn't add too much flavor to it. The music is sometimes maybe the best one for the situation, but at least it like uses colors in a really great way. So let's see if we get this either open and try to watch a couple of clips from a little bit more depressing movie that also has the same idea that they have foreign lead actors, and in this movie it becomes so clear that actually they don't play any role in this movie. It's kind of weird. Basically skip those parts because you want to. Right, I think we can stop this standard point here. So. Anyway, yeah, use the color like how both of these were supposed to be epic movies. This should be more epic than the other one, but kind of has a great like story to tell there, and it's actually really kind of political. As I said earlier, it's attacking the national government and how they acted in this. It's Chiang Kai-shek and attacks Mao Zedong about they want to save their faces. There's many parts in these movies, but it's a long movie. They want to save their faces, but even today, national government of today has actually agreed, or how do you say, like verified that this happened, that they were not taking refugees into consideration during the wartime, but they have only agreed it for the old days, what they say that was before 1978, even if this same kind of droughts and famine has happened one extremely severe time even after 1978, that they haven't, the new national government has not taken responsibility of mistreating actually their own citizens in later ages. The movie is long.
Do you know if it's banned in China?
No, it's not banned.
It's not
that was the like weird thing. It's not banned even because it's like this thing that the current government has kind of said that okay, this happened, but it was during the old national government time, and during the new national government hasn't happened. So. But yeah, it's attacking a lot. It's attacking a lot of the government. Yeah, the Republic of China, the political system of the Republic of China. Thank you.
Yes. No, I was just saying that they were talking this column and their column.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This guy,
Yeah, that's also. They have actually both governments involved there, so they have the Republic of China plus and the People's Republic of China. Both the political parties are involved in this movie, although the Republic of China party gets a lot more attention in this movie. It's not the main point of this movie, but they have that's the weird thing that they have actually managed to attack it and get it approved in China. They have succeeded, made box office income more than it costs. So, thank you for my part.
Any other questions? Just wondering, how do you connect, or how do you see the relation between box office issues and political messages, political issues and such things? So how does it work together?
Well, it's more like I wouldn't say it's an issue, but of course how the Chinese government controls everything, the censorship is an issue, and I think that's a more interesting part of it, that it's actually made to the theaters in the mainland China and here as well, and it made more than 20 million USD, converted to USD in most of this income. So the censorship didn't prevent from showing it, although there has been other movies that has not been shown, but actually it's the director of this movie, Feng Xiaogan, that already has a couple good movies under his belt, like a movie that has made internationally, but they are in different types of genres, for example, Kung Fu Hustle, and that's kind of like it's kind of fun movie. But I don't remember, but it was like a comedy about Kung Fu, this guy that has a little bit more powerful fist, and then there's some Afterquake movie that was also this kind of, and he has a separate, and they are like it in this movie, so this was supposed to be like one of the big things also, although it kind of failed in this emotional connecting and actually showing, so more focuses on the family issue, kind of failure, but they tried to get like this international, spread it around internationally with using Adrian Brody and Tim Robbins that actually are totally disconnected from the topic.
Yeah, but are they a role in the
They are Adrian Brody is one Pulitzer-winning reporter that reported from the earlier drought periods in Chongqing or something like that. But they connect also. They say that he got a Pulitzer Prize in '62 to '64, I think, when it was the presidential election of John F. Kennedy in the United States, and he got the Pulitzer Prize for that, and it has nothing to actually relate to this movie and what he reported from this there, but it was like a trick to get
Was it?
media attention.
Like he was there and he became famous later,
Yeah,
so they
no,
put him in
yeah. No, that guy was actually there, that Alain Brossat is playing. The guy, this reporter, American reporter from Time magazine, he was there reporting of this fraud that happened, occurred in another province, and Henan province. He was reporting of the thing for Time magazine, but they tried to connect him more to this story, but it's kind of bad reference, and it's more done to just to get the international audience to this movie and get it, because otherwise this is like a Chinese production. And there's not too many that they have actually just hired lead actors. They said that Flowers of War was the first where they actually, Chinese production where they hired an international star as lead actor. Christian Bale had like came as Dark Knight 2006 and 2011 in the Dark Knight movie, so probably not too cheap hiring. Yeah.
Do you think that the directors of these films have any kind of political message to convey or any kind of political conviction?
This definitely for this 1942 movie, Feng Xiaogan, the director, has, I guess, been criticizing the government, and he has a couple of good movies under his belt, so he has a little bit probably more freedom to do it. While let me see, who was the director of Flowers of War? He's Chan, yeah.
Yeah, very famous.
Yeah, he was the one that actually directed the 2008 Olympic Games, the opening ceremony, and probably famous then. Yeah, he said for this movie that it was more like, anyway, taking into consideration what the novelist Galen wanted from it, and she didn't want them to picture the Japanese as brutal animals, even though in the movie they picture Japanese are actually brutal animals. So it doesn't convey a strong political message.
They always have that from, I don't know, this discussion platform.
Yeah.
Every time they make a new movie, they say this kind of Japanese will be different. It's part of their selling point, because people are tired of formulaic Japanese soldiers.
For taking a sample.
Oh yes, it's true. Okay, so thank you very much.